Deep in the heart of Scotland lies Glamis Castle, a place steeped in royal history, dark secrets, and one of the most chilling ghost stories in British folklore. But who exactly is the White Lady, and why are locals still terrified to walk these halls after dark? Today, the White Lady isn't just a ghost story. Staff and visitors still report seeing her gliding along the chapel seats or hovering above the castle clock tower. And legend says the White Lady is sometimes seen looking out from the castle's secret, hidden chambers. Many say her glowing white figure is so bright, it illuminates the darkest of Scottish nights. To understand the ghost, we have to look at the tragic history of Janet Douglas, the sixth Lady Glamis. Back in the 1500s, her family found themselves on the wrong side of King James V. Janet Douglas was a noblewoman wrongfully executed by burning in 1537, fueled by King James V's hatred for her powerful Douglas family and his greed for her estate. She was accused of witchcraft and plotting to poison the king. She is now famously seen as the White Lady ghost at Glamis Castle. Janet Douglas was the sister of Archibald Douglas, 6th Earl of Angus, who had imprisoned a young King James V. The Douglases were the most powerful family in Scotland, and Angus had been stepfather to the young James V. Once James came of age, he violently broke the Douglas hold on power. Being a Douglas made Janet an enemy by association. When James V escaped and took the throne, his hatred for the Douglas family became an obsession. He could not reach Archibald, so he targeted the one he could, Janet. Janet was left a wealthy widow at 24, inheriting Glamis Castle, one of the finest estates in Scotland, after her husband, John Lyon, died on April 17, 1528, at the age of 37, less than 2 years after they married. The official records say he died of a fever or illness, possibly after being wounded in a skirmish. He was at Edinburgh when he fell sick and died suddenly. At the time, rumours spread that he was poisoned. This was a violent era of Scottish politics, and the Lyon and Douglas families had powerful enemies. Years later, when King James V accused Janet of witchcraft, one of the charges was that she had poisoned her first husband to marry again. The king coveted Glamis Castle, and if he got Janet convicted of treason, the crown could seize all her lands and become a royal residence. And destroying her was a way to further crush the Douglas family and send a warning out to other nobles. Lady Glamis was a noblewoman of singular beauty and impeccable character, and had many a suitor. One of those was William Lyon. She had spurned him, and his obsession had turned to spite, which led him to falsely accuse her of witchcraft. The king accused Janet of attempting to poison the monarch and of communicating with her outlawed brothers. In 1537, James had her arrested. He imprisoned and tortured her servants and even her young son. To secure a conviction, the king had Janet's family and servants tortured on the rack. Her 16-year-old son John was forced to watch this before being tortured himself until he provided the evidence the king demanded. They eventually all gave false confessions. She was accused of poisoning her first husband, conspiring to poison the king, and practicing witchcraft. They claimed she was a witch. They claimed she'd poisoned her husband. Lies, all to tear down the House of Douglas. She was known to have said that James V will have his vengeance, but he will not have her pride. She maintained her innocence to the end. Accused of treason and witchcraft, she was dragged to Castle Hill in Edinburgh and burned at the stake in 1537. She did not scream. She did not beg. Almost blind from years of imprisonment in a dark dungeon, she met the fire with manlike courage, remaining silent as she was consumed. She was burned alive, a brutal end to a noble woman. Even her accusers later admitted the charges were fabricated. Her son was spared execution but kept prisoner until James V died. Following the king's death in 1542, Janet's son was released and his title restored, but the trauma remained. Ever since that horrific day, her spirit is said to have returned home to Glamis, manifesting as a woman dressed in a glowing white gown, a silent testament to a king's vengeance. It's a brutal piece of Scottish history, and at the heart of it, it was never about witchcraft. It was about power, property, and fear. Today, the visitors rarely go to the chapel alone. It is said that a figure, a white lady or grey lady, is seen kneeling in prayer at the altar. She is a figure of immense sadness. There is even a specific seat in the chapel that is forever reserved for her, where no visitor or family member is permitted to sit. A quiet acknowledgement of her wrongful death and the king's vengeance that sealed her fate. It is not a battle that defines this lady, but a tragedy. Janet Douglas, Lady Glamis, didn't die fighting. She died because she was loved and because she was powerful. Another chilling legend that clings to Glamis Castle. Do you believe the spirit of Janet Douglas still wanders Glamis Castle? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this haunted history, hit that like button, subscribe for more on Glamis Castle and other spooky locations, and I'll see you in the next video.